You're looking at 12 Christmas cards that came together faster than any cards I've ever made before. They look like they took a whole lot more work than they actually did. In today's video, I'm showing you how I made all 12 cards using 9 simple card designs. Before we start making cards, I want to show you what I used to make them come together so quickly. Today I'm using several products from Spellbinders Dear Santa collection. If you're interested in any of these products I used today, I'll have everything linked in the description. Spellbinders did send these products to me for free to share with you, but remember, you can absolutely use similar supplies you already have in your stash. The dimensional stickers are available in poinsettias, festive birds, ornaments, and Christmas trees. Then there are the epoxy embellishments, which come in 4 sizes: small, medium, large, and extra large. Next is the washi tape. It's designed like a strip of postage stamps, and it's perforated so you can tear off each section individually. It's really cute and fun to work with, and I even used it as a focal point on one of my cards. Then we have the Letters to Santa cardstock embellishments. They're packed with coordinating envelopes, postcards, labels, tags, and other fun pieces that are ready to use right out of the package. Then there's the Happy Post envelope etched dies. I had so much fun with these because they let you create the cutest little envelopes and mail-themed details for your cards. And lastly, we have the 12 by 12 paper pad. For this first card, I'm using one of the pattern papers with these pretty Christmas ornaments. I cut one of the 12 by 12 sheets into 4 6 by 6 panels and then trimmed one of those into a strip for the bottom of my card. I'm also using the Merry Greetings etched dies from the Dear Santa collection. I missed them earlier because they were tucked behind another die set, but they include several Christmas greeting options to mix and match throughout your projects. I'm inking the shadow layers with the dark cranberry ink and gluing the sentiments on top. This is actually the part that takes the most time, so I almost always cut and ink a few extras while I already have my machine out. Then, when I'm ready to create, those pieces are already waiting for me, and that little habit saves me a lot of time on future cards. I'm adhering the pattern paper along the bottom edge of the card, then trimming away the excess from both sides. I almost always start with one straight edge and let the extra hang over. I think it's much easier to trim off a little excess than to try to line everything up perfectly before you stick it down. If you're looking for more sketch ideas, I have a whole collection of card sketches on my website. These are just a handful of them, and you can use these sketches with any supplies that you already have. I'll leave the link in the description below. Now I'm adding that thin strip of gold cardstock along the top edge of the pattern paper. That gives the transition between the paper and the cardstock a clean, finished edge and adds a little shine. Now it's time for the sentiment, and I'm using my T-square ruler to center it. One little trick I used is to center it from the edges of the card, not necessarily the letters themselves. Since the words are different lengths, your eye can play tricks on you, but centering it on the card itself is the most balanced look. To finish it off, I added one of the Festive Birds dimensional stickers. It adds a fun little focal point without a lot of extra work. And lastly, I added a red jasper gem to the holly in the bird's beak for just a little extra sparkle. This was so much fun to make, I created 2 cards using the same design. For this card, I used Spellbinders Matting Basics A layering dies, along with the Bow and Bell Scallop frame etched dies for the layers. I used one of the Christmas tree dimensional stickers for the focal point. Since the tree was already layered and ready to use, most of the design work was done for me. I could focus on building the frame around it and making the tree stand out. I started by adhering the red matting layer directly to my card base, and then I glued the white Christmas tree panel onto the smaller gingham layer I cut from the paper pad. I added foam tape to the back of the gingham panel and popped it up on the scallop frame. All those layers make the card look much more detailed, but once everything was cut, it came together very quickly. Now for the sentiment, I stamped Merry Christmas in green ink. I heat embossed it with a clear embossing powder and stacked it 3 layers high for dimension. Once the sentiment was placed, I adhered the completed scallop panel to the red matting layer. Then I added the red jasper gem sparkles to the tree. I love how such a small detail made them look like little ornaments and gave the card that final bit of sparkle. For card number 3, I used Spellbinders Matting Basics A and B to build the layers. I chose the Happy Holidays postcard from the Letters to Santa cardstock embellishments as the focal point. Then I built the rest of the design around it. It happened to already include the sentiment, so I didn't need to add a separate one. I first adhered the red cardstock and then layered the pattern paper with the envelopes, letters, and presents. I adhered both of those flat with no dimension to the card base. For the smaller center panel, I used another rectangle from each Matting Basics set. I layered the pink mistletoe paper on the red cardstock and popped the entire panel up with foam tape. I knew most of the presents on the background paper would be covered, but enough of the pattern still showed around the edges to support the postcard without competing with it. Then I popped the postcard up with foam tape, and at that point I decided the card needed something more, so I added the layer bow from the Bow and Bell Scallop Frame Etched dies. I colored the bow with dark cranberry ink, and I started assembling it together. I wasn't planning on using this bow, but it worked perfectly for this card. With so many layered rectangles, the card was starting to feel a little too boxy. The curved shape of the bow broke up all those straight lines, added movement, and helped balance the busy patterns. And then I added foam squares behind the bow to pop it up, giving it even more dimension and helping it stand out against those layered patterns. And finally, I added a few epoxy embellishments to finish everything off. Okay, on to card number 4, where I use the Snuggly Knit embossing folder, that's the embossing folder of the month for July, on the smallest white panel. I blended a little ink into the center of the embossed panel and faded it towards the edges, which brought out the knit texture and added a soft wash of color. Then I framed that panel with the leftover gingham negative piece from the paper pad, and I added foam tape behind the completed panel, popped it up on the deep red matting layer, and then adhered the red layer directly onto my A2 tent fold card base. All these cards that we're making is a good example of how you can mix older supplies with newer ones and pull pieces from the different collections. Dear Santa is the main collection I'm using, but you don't need every product from every collection. Look through what you already have and see if you own something that's similar that will work. That helps avoid buying duplicates while still keeping your cards fresh and creative. The gingham envelope that I'm using and the strip of postage stamps are both from the Letters to Santa cardstock embellishments. To assemble the envelope, I added glue to the side flaps, folded the bottom flap up, and pressed everything together. Then I adhered the envelope directly to the embossed knit panel and added the strip of postage across the front. For the sentiment, I stacked the Make Way for Christmas from the July Stamp Club kit twice and then added foam squares behind it for even more dimension and then adhering it centered just underneath the envelope. Then I used the largest epoxy embellishment as a seal on the envelope flap. When I stuck that down, I noticed that the scalloped edge of the flap was disappearing into the gingham pattern, and the envelope was starting to look like one solid rectangle. To bring the scalloped edge back, I tucked a small foam square underneath the flap and lifted it slightly. That tiny adjustment created the separation it needed and made the envelope shape much clearer and gave the seal even more dimension. Okay, we're at halftime. We're at the halfway mark. For card number 5, I started with the deep red matting layer, cut with the largest die from Matting Basics A, as usual. And I'm using the Poinsettia and Greenery from the Christmas Foliage die set. But the festive floral mix from the Dear Santa collection has a very similar look. And then I embossed that layer with the all wrapped up embossing folder from the Dancing Christmas Friends collection. I'm not sure whether that folder is still available or not, but any Christmas embossing folder would work here. Or you could just leave the cardstock plain. I just wanted to add a little extra texture. So for the focal piece on this card, I used the envelope and letter from the Happy Post envelope dies. And as I lightly inked the edges of the envelope with gray ink, I was thinking about how I could make these flat die cuts feel more like a real Christmas note coming through the mail. So that meant adding just enough shading and movement to make the whole piece feel more believable. I colored the ribbon and the heart with red ink, and then I used a butterscotch ink for the seal. Then I added a light shading of blue sky ink around the edges of the letter. I wanted the pieces to feel more realistic, like an envelope someone would actually want to open, so I curled the corners of the letter slightly to keep it from looking flat. Now it's time to assemble the envelope, and 3 of the 7 die-cut pieces create the envelope itself. They layer together to give you all the folds and detail without any scoring. I added glue around the triangular section, adhered it to the back panel, and then added the smaller bottom flap to finish the envelope. I then tucked a small foam square under the envelope flap so it would sit slightly raised instead of lying completely flat. Then I glued the heart onto the seal. added the ribbon to the flap, and centered the finished seal over the ribbon. Somewhere along the way, I decided not to use that gingham piece because it just wasn't fitting with this card, and I changed up the card front. Instead, I decided to use the scallop frame layer. Then I'm going to add foam tape to add dimension to the white stitched rectangle layer, and then layer that over the scallop frame. If you're looking for more card sketch ideas, these 9 designs came from my sketches on my website, and I have plenty more there if you need ideas. And I'll have everything linked in the description below. Once those layers were in place, it was time to assemble the card. I adhered the envelope on top and tucked the letter behind it at a slight angle so that everything didn't feel so straight and stacked. Tucking a letter behind the envelope made it look like it had just been pulled out, instead of looking like 2 separate pieces placed on the card. And placing it at an angle broke up the straight layers so the design didn't feel stiff or overly squared off. And then I added the sentiment, sending a whole lot of merry your way, and that's again from the July Clear Stamp and Die set of the month. And then I placed the finished layered panel at a slight angle over the embossed background so everything wasn't perfectly squared off. That little bit of tilt added extra interest to the design. And now it's time to assemble the poinsettia. And this poinsettia had already been inked and sitting in my stash for a while. I believe I used cranberry ink on it, but I'm not positive. But it was some shade of red. I stacked the poinsettia layers and added a foam square behind the small flower center to pop it up. The pine branches were too long for the space, so I trimmed them down before tucking them underneath the poinsettia to the upper left corner. I wasn't sure I was going to use this, but as bare as that corner was, I'm glad I pulled this set out. This just shows why I like keeping extra die cuts in my stash. Even when they're made for different projects, I can usually trim them down or rearrange them to fit any card that I'm working on. I added a few epoxy embellishments near the sentiment, and then I added perfect pearls in the center of the poinsettia. To finish the card, I decided the white panel needed something extra, so I used a black pen to create the look of splatter. This card was the one that took the longest to create out of all these cards, but I think it was worth it, don't you? For card number 6, I let the washi tape create most of the design. I added 1 strip across the bottom and another across the top, which gave me a natural space in the center for the Merry Christmas sentiment. Since it already had those little Christmas postage stamp designs, I didn't want to cover it up or add a lot of little extra pieces. I centered the sentiment between the 2 strips and added 3 epoxy embellishments just under the right side of the sentiment, and that was all the card needed. It came together really quickly, but the detail in the washi tape makes it look like there's so much more going on. It's a super cute card, and it came together with almost no effort at all. And that wraps up card number 6. For this card, I used the striped paper from the paper pad, 2 rectangle dies from the Bows and Bells set, and the Happy Holidays sentiment, and 1 of the poinsettia dimensional stickers. I started by adhering the striped paper to my A2 card base. The pattern already added plenty of color and movement, so I kept the center panel simple. I popped up with foam tape again, the white rectangle onto the red rectangle. As you can tell, I like adding foam tape and giving that dimension because that slight separation creates a shadow around the edges, which helps the focal panel stand out from the background instead of getting lost in the pattern. I added the poinsettia as the focal point, of course, and finished it by adhering the Happy Holidays sentiment. Once that panel was finished, I adhered it at a slight angle to my card base. I turned it the opposite direction of the stripes because I wanted to break up all those straight lines and give the design a little more movement and interest. Isn't that so cute? Sometimes a tiny change like tilting a panel is all it takes to make a simple card feel a little more finished without adding any extra work. That wraps up card number 7. For this card, I kept it really simple. I used some washi tape, 1 red strip of cardstock, and 2 thin strips of gold cardstock, and I added a sentiment. So originally, I thought I was going to add 1 of the dimensional ornaments, the ornament dimensional stickers, but once I got the washi tape on the card, it reminded me of a beautiful piece of holiday tapestry. It was so pretty on its own that I decided to let that be the focal point. Next, I added that gorgeous piece to the card front, and I added it off to the left side of the cardstock. Then I added the thin gold strip cardstock along each side of the washi tape. It framed the strips, cleaned up the edges, and it gave the card a finished look without taking away from the design. I think this is another great example of how sometimes the simplest designs make the biggest impact. When a pattern is already doing all the work, you don't have to keep adding to it. Sometimes knowing when to stop is what makes the card feel finished. For the sentiment, I stamped it in green ink, heat embossed it with clear embossing powder, then stacked it 3 layers thick to give it that little extra dimension. I finished the card with a single epoxy embellishment. Let me know in the comments, will you try these designs? Yay, we did it! Our 9th and final card. I'm using some gold string, one of the Ornament dimensional stickers, and the 3D embossing folder of the month. It's July's club kit. And I cut the red cardstock an 1/8 of an inch smaller than my A2 card base, and I embossed it with the embossing folder. I blended a darker cranberry ink around the edges of the red panel to add more depth. I forgot to mention that I'm using the Essential Arches die for the white arch. I lightly inked the very edge of the white arch so the color would just barely carry over to the front. You could also leave this completely white and it would look just as good. I then popped the arch up on some foam tape and added it to the embossed panel. I placed the ornament in the center of the arch and tucked one end of the gold string underneath the dimensional sticker. I had forgotten to add that string before attaching the arch, so I squeezed a little glue in between the arch and the red panel, tucked the string underneath with my pick tool, and pulled it taut so the ornament looked like it was hanging from the top. Next, I popped up the Hope Your Holiday is Trimmed with Joy sentiment just below the ornament. The scripted Merry Christmas design was perfect for this card, and even though much of it was covered, it still adds beautiful texture and dimension in the background. And lastly, I added the finished panel to my A2 card base and finished everything off with a few Emerald City Gem sparkles from Altenew. This card has a little more technique, texture, and dimension than some of the others, but none of the steps are difficult. It's really just a matter of layering everything together one piece at a time. I hope these 9 cards gave you a few new ideas to try with your own supplies. Whether you use this collection or something you already have in your craft room, I hope you have as much fun making them as I did. And if you're looking for any of the products I used today, you'll find everything linked in the description below. And hey, if you're still watching, I want to thank you so much for spending time with me today. And if you enjoyed this video and found value in it, give it a like so YouTube will tell other card makers about it. Subscribe so you never miss a video and hit the bell so you get notified every time we put one out. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.